Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the really fascinating world of classic cinema,
Mm.
specifically the directors who didn't just make movies, they reshaped the whole art form. You shared some great material on these pioneers.
Yeah, the visionaries behind some truly iconic films.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack who these people were and, what made their work so groundbreaking, so lasting.
It's a great topic. That golden age, it was just bursting with creativity, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We often think of the stars, sure, but the directors were really pushing things forward.
Right. They were becoming the true authors, the masterminds behind the films, more than just telling a story.
Absolutely. Establishing a unique voice.
So when you look at these films that still hit hard today, you see that distinct directorial hand, inventing a whole new visual language, really.
Definitely.
Let's start with Alfred Hitchcock. The name itself basically means suspense,
Uh,
right? But what was his secret? How did he master that?
well, Hitchcock, he had this incredible grasp of psychological tension. It wasn't just about showing scary things, it was the anticipation.
The dread.
Yes, exactly. Building it inside the viewer. Think about Psycho. It's the lead up, isn't it? The way he plays with our expectations.
Or vertigo, that dizzying, obsessive feeling. You almost feel it yourself.
He makes it palpable. He was a master manipulator, in the best sense, using the camera to guide our emotions.
And speaking of the camera, the material really highlighted his innovative angles, how he could make, I don't know, a simple object seem menacing just by how he shot it.
Oh, definitely. He knew perspective was everything.
Hmm.
A low angle could make someone seem vulnerable, right? Or a high angle could isolate them.
Subtle cues.
Very subtle. They get under your skin before you even notice why. He was constantly using these visual tricks to ramp up the emotional impact.
And then there's the famous dolly zoom. That specific technique, can you break that down a bit?
Sure. So the camera physically moves, say, backwards while the lens zooms in or vice versa.
So the main subject stays roughly the same size in the frame.
Exactly. But the background seems to warp, to stretch, or compress. It creates this intense feeling of vertigo, appropriately enough,
Mhm.
or like a sudden jarring realization.
A visual punch representing an inner jolt.
Perfectly put.
Yeah.
It shows his deep understanding of how to translate internal states into visual language,
Yeah.
which makes it even more, well, surprising.
That he never won the Oscar for Best Director.
Yeah. It's pretty wild considering his influence.
It really is. Makes you think. Okay, shifting gears. Orson Welles. And of course, Citizen Kane. It's always on those greatest films lists. What made it so revolutionary?
Well, first off, Wells was only 25.
Incredible.
And he basically came in and, tossed the filmmaking rule book out the window. One key thing was the narrative structure. It wasn't linear at all.
Right. It's pieced together through different people's memories of Kane, isn't it? Often conflicting memories.
Precisely. We're like detective trying to figure out this complex man from these subjective, fragmented accounts. It really messes with the idea of a simple, single truth.
Challenge the audience to work, to assemble the puzzle.
And visually, just
Yeah.
as groundbreaking. The use of deep focus cinematography was a huge deal.
Let's explain that. So normally you'd have the main thing in focus, background blurry.
Yeah, guiding the eye. But with deep focus, everything in the frame is sharp. Foreground, middle ground, background, all crystal clear.
And what did that let Wells do?
It meant a single shot could be packed with information. Multiple actions, layers of meaning happening at once. The viewer's eye can wander, make connections.
Gives the actors more freedom, too, I imagine, within the space.
Definitely. It created this incredibly rich, immersive world, almost like you could see every corner of the room at the same time. It demanded a different kind of attention from the viewer.
Amazing vision for someone so young. Okay, let's head to Italy. Federico Fellini. His films. They have such a unique feel. La Dolce Vita, 8.5. What defines his style?
Fellini operated in his own cinematic universe, didn't he? It's this blend of reality and fantasy where the line just dissolves.
Dreamlike.
Very dreamlike. He dives deep into the subconscious, exploring fantasies, anxieties, memories, often in these visually stunning, sometimes quite bizarre ways. He wasn't afraid of the fantastical at all.
No, there's often this theatrical, almost carnival-like quality. Larger-than-life characters, unforgettable images, sometimes unsettling ones.
Right. And the material mentioned something interesting, that Fellini saw his films almost as autobiography.
Expressing his own inner thoughts and dreams on screen.
Exactly, which I think is why, even at their most outlandish, they feel relatable.
Yeah.
They tap into universal things, desire, fear, identity struggles.
Yeah.
But through his incredibly personal, imaginative
You
lens.
don't just watch a Fellini film, you sort of experience it. You step into his world.
Well said.
Yeah.
Okay, let's journey east now. Japan. Akira Kurosawa. Such a master. He really brought Japanese cinema to the global stage, didn't he? Oh, absolutely. A giant. And his range was incredible. Epic samurai films,
Yeah.
intense human dramas, visually stunning, always full of energy and movement.
And Rashomon is probably his most famous internationally. What made that one such a landmark?
Well, besides just being a powerful film, Rashomon introduced a revolutionary narrative device, presenting a single event, a crime in the woods, from multiple, wildly different perspectives.
Ah, the Rashomon effect. We even use that term outside of film now, where witnesses give totally different accounts of the same thing.
Exactly. And each account seems plausible on its own, but they can't all be true. It fundamentally challenged the idea of objective truth on screen.
Highlighting how subjective memory and perception are.
Precisely. And that structure, it influenced countless filmmakers everywhere. It just blew open the possibilities for storytelling, admitting that, yeah, viewpoints are biased.
It's also interesting, wasn't Kurosawa a painter before he was a director?
He was.
Yeah.
And you can absolutely see it.
You really can. The compositions are so meticulous. The use of color, light, shadow, each frame feels like a painting.
That artistic eye definitely informed his filmmaking. He understood visual harmony, perspective, how to use images to evoke emotion and meaning. Just masterful visual storytelling.
Totally agree. Okay, finally, let's touch on Luis Buñuel. Often surreal, always provocative. He seemed to love challenging audiences.
Buñuel was the ultimate cinematic provocateur, maybe, an iconoclast. His films are filled with these bizarre, dreamlike, sometimes disturbing images.
Like Un Chien Andalou, that opening.
Yeah, unforgettable. He wasn't interested in comfortable stories. Surrealism for him was a tool, a way to bypass logic and tap into the subconscious to disrupt our assumptions.
And it wasn't just weird for weirdness' sake, right? There's usually sharp social critique underneath.
Oh, absolutely. He
Oh.
was skewering bourgeois society, religious hypocrisy, all sorts of conventions, often with this incredibly dark, almost wicked sense of humor.
Like in the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie.
Exactly. The surrealism was a vehicle for potent satire. He used the illogical to expose the hypocrisies he saw all around him.
And his films still feel potent today, don't they? Still unsettling, still make you think.
They really do. They haven't lost their power to provoke. They inspire filmmakers to take risks, to
Yeah.
question things.
The material noted that blend of the absurd, almost comedic, with really deep critiques. It's an unsettling mix.
It's very subversive. Cloaking, biting commentary in absurdity forces you to confront uncomfortable stuff in a way that really sticks with you.
So looking back at all these directors, Hitchcock, Wells, Fellini, Kurosawa, Buñuel, what's the big takeaway? What's the essence of that impact?
I think the main thing is they weren't just telling stories. They were innovators. They fundamentally expanded what cinema could do.
They pushed the boundaries, narrative, visuals, everything.
Yeah, they experimented constantly. They weren't afraid to break rules or invent new techniques. They saw film's potential and just ran with it, refusing to be boxed in by convention.
Their legacy really highlights how important that courage is, doesn't it? Daring to try something different, to explore uncharted territory. That seems crucial to genuine artistry.
Absolutely. They weren't content to just follow the existing formulas. They forged their own paths, their own unique styles. And that spirit, that's a lesson that goes way beyond just film.
So that wraps up our deep dive into these truly revolutionary directors and the mark they left on classic cinema. It's been fascinating to revisit their work.
It really has. Each one left such an indelible stamp, and they continue to inspire people today.
And that leads us to our final thought for you, our listener. Thinking about these directors, their willingness to experiment, to challenge norms, how might that apply to you? Could embracing a bit of that, that maverick spirit, that willingness to step outside the comfortable path, unlock something new in your own work, your own life, definitely something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.